Hey everybody, it's Tamari the Astro Fashionista. Welcome to my channel. You know what to do by now. Please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and please let me know in the comments what other content you want to see from me. So you guys, it's March. I can't even believe it's March. I remember filming the January 2020 video. It's crazy that we're already here, but such is life. So March is really a big month astrologically. We have a lot going on here. I think it's going to be a generally good month. It's a 7 numerology month because if you add 2 plus 2 is 4, and then you add that to 3, the third month of the year, that's 7. And 7 is all about going inwards. It's a spiritual number. It's a number about preparation and really listening to your inner voice. It's the number before 8, which is more about work and enterprise, which I anticipate April to be about as well. But right now we have just a lot of like awakening energy. I know it's been a tough couple months with a lot of losses, or what seems like losses, a lot of media stuff going on and a lot of fear mongering. But I just want to remind you guys that we are the creators of our own destiny and our own life. Don't let anyone, anything, any media property, don't let anyone scare you into things, or just scare you and make you walk through this life as if you're being a victim. Because although I believe we're being directed, obviously I believe in the, you know, the universe and the stars and planets and all that having an influence on our life. It's destiny, and I don't feel like we were put on this earth to just, you know, live in fear and go through a complete negative experience, unless we are putting a negative experience out there and then you're going to attract it back. So I just want to remind you to just like stay positive, stay woke, and turn off the news. Because I don't even watch the news, to be honest. I get updates on my phone or whatever, and then I move on and continue about my merry day because, hey, we got bills to pay around here. So anyway, I'm going to get into the astrology of March 2020. Okay, so we start out the month. I'm going to start with Tuesday with one of the major aspects happening. We have Venus in Aries, and it's going to be making a square to Saturn in Capricorn, which is down here. So when you think of Aries, Aries is cardinal fire. Fire is all about action, initiative, fire, hot, tempered. And Aries is a sign that's the first sign of the zodiac. And when you have cardinal fire, cardinal is about taking initiative and action. That's really like moving forward. And when you combine that with Venus, Venus is all about love and pleasures and being just nice and, you know, dainty and pleasurable. And Venus is actually considered to be in detriment in Aries. It's a ancient astrological term, being in detriment, meaning that it's not operating in its own domain. It's at home in Libra and Taurus. So Venus and Aries can be very hot-tempered, aggressive, assertive with love. But then when you combine that with Saturn, and Saturn is cold. It's the cold planet. It's the furthest from the sun, if we're talking about the 7 visible traditional planets. And it's in Capricorn, the sign that it rules, or one of the signs that it rules. And that's all about restriction and organization and being responsible. So a square in astrology is it's a difficult aspect. It's of the energy of Mars, so it requires action to get through. And so we have Venus square Saturn. I know I just said a lot. That is really wanting to maybe move forward in love issues, or move forward with a nice purchase, or move forward with anything that's in the Venus domain, whether it's like you know, shopping or being creative. But it's a little frustrating because Saturn's telling you to get your ducks in a row. So I'm going to interpret this the best way that I know too, which is a love issue. So that means frustration in love relationships. It's not you're going to want to maybe feel like moving forward or pressing an issue or being assertive in the love department. And it's really frustrating because you're getting pushback from Saturn saying, slow down. So this could manifest as for some of you as, you know, a hard lesson. It could be you thinking what you need to do to get out of a bad situation. If you're in a relationship, you might really feel the call to like end something if it's not working for you. And that's that Aries Mars energy, and Saturn's like, okay, we'll think this through. So I would just say it's a little tough in the love department on that day, but it's a Tuesday, it's one day. And it's also about wanting freedom, but also wanting stability. So it could be a little confusing for those of you who are looking for like something stable, but you also don't want to lose yourself. So it'll pass just like every other astrological transit. Okay, and then on Wednesday, March 4th, Mercury enters Aquarius. Mercury is still retrograde at this time. But it does a little better in Aquarius than it does in Pisces. I talked about Pisces in my last video, Mercury being in Pisces and being considered in detriment. Mercury does very well in Aquarius. So it gives us a little bit of a break before Mercury goes direct. Aquarius is fixed air. Fixed is all about structure and building things lasting, being kind of stuck in your ways. And Aquarius is air, thoughts. So we can be a little more stubborn during this time. Again, Mercury is retrograde, so if there's any arguments, I foresee some of us really trying to stick our ground. But just watch what you say. Don't say anything off the cuff, off the wall, because you can't take that back. And then on that same day, we have Venus entering Taurus in its own domicile, in its own domain. That's going to last until May 1st, which is amazing and great because Venus really likes being in Taurus. It's Taurus's ruler. It's about taking a break and enjoying life's pleasures. Taurus is an earth sign. Venus is, you know, it's a wet planet. It's moist. And so things are really fertile when it's in Taurus. So this could be a great time for planting, you know, seeds for, and I'm going, after Mercury goes direct, which we'll get to in a second, planting new seeds around like real estate or love or pleasure things that rule pleasure. Or if you want to, you know, maybe open up a new bank account or something like that. That's a positive way to look at Venus in Taurus, because Taurus is the sign of finance as well, or one of the signs that rules money, the main sign. And then on a relationship standpoint, things can get a little bit easier because, you know, Venus is in a place where it's comfortable, it's more expressive, it's more loving. It's a time where we're all going to want to feel a little more lovey-dovey and just really crave that like nurturing, that nice warm fuzzy feeling inside. That's like the best way to put it. And I forgot to move my Venus over to Taurus here for Venus and Taurus. Then on Sunday, March 8th, we have the Sun here still in Pisces, sitting right next to conjunct Neptune in Pisces. And Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. So this is really dreamy, creative energy. The Sun is about creativity itself. And Neptune is all about, it's the higher octave of Venus. So it's about being in love, being inspired, being creative. And this could be really, really creative energy. On the flip side, it can be really deceptive energy. It's an energy where we all kind of have on rose-colored glasses and cannot see things for what they are. We are seeing things in a better light than maybe it really is. So I do want to put a little caution out there. But for the most part, it's a really pleasant experience, and it's really about being inspired and being happy and like feeling fulfilled, because the Sun is about fulfillment. That same day, Venus in Taurus up here is going to be conjunct Uranus in Taurus, because Uranus is in a long transit through Taurus. And putting those two together, Venus in Taurus, which I already talked about, sitting right next to Uranus, the planet of change, excitement, things happening out of the blue, windfalls. So when you combine those two, the simplest interpretation of that is like meeting a love partner out of the blue. That could be good, and that can be expressed in some of you guys' charts, depending on what's going on there. It could mean relationship issues that come up out of the blue. So it doesn't always have to be a positive manifestation, but I like to look at both sides. So, but with Venus in Taurus in a place that it likes to be, it could be a positive change. It might be something that's much needed, because Taurus is a sign of, it's a fixed earth sign, so it doesn't like change. And Uranus wants to force change. So it could physically be forcing you out of something that's no longer good for you, or it could be forcing you into something that is good for you. So it kind of depends on what's going on in the full chart. If you want to know, hit your girl up. I can do a personal reading for you. Then on Monday, March 9th, we have Mercury that's in Aquarius finally going direct after a 3-week retrograde. I know it's probably been a little bit difficult for some of us communication wise, with traveling, with technology, all that stuff that Mercury rules. But finally we have a breath of fresh air and Mercury continues on its path of going quick and fast. So we're having that on that day. But on that same day, there's actually a full moon in Virgo. Where's my moon? So my moon, I can't see because of my light. Okay, here's my moon. The moon is going to be in Virgo. Again, I talk about when there's a full moon. The sun is actually sitting right opposite the moon, and the moon is being illuminated by the light of the sun. So this full moon in Virgo, I think, is actually a really good one. It's at, let's see, 19 degrees in Nikola Stenjanovic. Okay, I can't even say his name, so I'm not going to butcher it. I'm just going to put it below on the screen. He's a Serbian astrologer. I've had the pleasure of, being and learning from him at a retreat in Bulgaria. And I followed him on Astro Lada's channel. I will also link her channel below. He has the whole degree theory, and so I definitely incorporated that into my practice. And this full moon is at the degree of Libra. It's at 19 degrees, and that just gives a little bit of a Libra flair to this full moon, meaning it's more creative. So when you mix Virgo and Libra, that's skill and creativity combined. That's genius. That's like the Beyonce, her being such a great dancer. That's like Virgo talents with a Libra flair. That's like being a great makeup artist, somebody that can paint a face and beat a face, but with great skill and use their creativity. So that's what this full moon is about. It's a productive moon. It's also it's a time where if there's something that you are very skilled at or you're mastering, there can be some payoff around that time. And if you want to look back to the new moon that happened, it happened August 30th in 2019. There was a new moon in Virgo, and new moons are about planting seeds. So whatever you were working on around that time, you might see things come to fruition, they start to pay off. And there's some positive aspects going on. We also have the moon is making a positive aspect to Capricorn, Mars in Capricorn. Mars is exalted. It likes to be in Capricorn. So that's action. That's, things moving forward quickly in a nice natural way. The moon is actually also trining Jupiter. The trine is, again, a positive aspect. Jupiter is about abundance and making things larger. So the moon and Jupiter, it's a jovial time. And then it's also making a positive aspect to Pluto, which is all about transformation and powerful. So I really see this as a time where things might get bigger and larger than life and really be fruitful, something fruitful happening for some of us, especially if you have planets close to the 19th degree of Virgo, or in an earth sign close to that degree, or in a water sign close to that degree. Okay, then on Wednesday, March 11th, the sun in Pisces is making a positive aspect called a sextile to Jupiter in Pisces. And a sextile is opportunity. It's a trine is all about things happening out of the blue, then like you're not having to put a lot of effort. A sextile takes effort. So when you combine the sun, which is all about creativity, and you link it up with Jupiter, which is about expanding things and making things bigger, and it's in Capricorn, that's opportunity to create something lasting if you put in effort. So it's a good time to, like, if you're in a creative field, or if you're a person that is working on a creative project, sun in Pisces, to put energy towards that on that day so that you can see a payoff in the future with that Jupiter in Capricorn. Another thing I want to add is that Jupiter is actually the traditional ruler of Pisces. So Jupiter wants to help its sign. So if you put in the effort, it's going to pay off, because Jupiter wants to protect that sign. It wants to protect the energy in Pisces, and the sun is in Pisces. It's like, I want to help that sun out because it's in my sign. It's in the sign that I rule. This energy is actually going to last through the weekend, through Saturday, March 14th, because Mars in Capricorn will also be in a positive aspect. Mars is down here. Mars, again, about action, making things happen. It'll be making a positive aspect with Neptune in Pisces. Again, amplifying creativity and putting action towards something creative or something romantic. And this could be a romantic thing too, a love thing, because Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. And then there's also the sun in Pisces is also making a positive aspect to Pluto in Capricorn. So there's a lot of Capricorn, Pisces support happening. So mixing the practical with the dreams and seeing how things really manifest and come to fruition by mixing those two energies. Then on this third week of the month, it's a big week, y'all. It's a big astrological week. For one, let's say, okay, so Mercury went here in Aquarius. It's going to move back into Pisces. We're going to have to deal with that energy for a little bit longer, but it's not the end of the world by any means. But on Thursday, March 19th, the sun is going to move into Aries. And this is the spring equinox. It's the vernal equinox. And this is the International Astrology Day. What us Western astrologers kind of consider like the beginning of the astrological year. And so what happens during this time is the sun's ecliptic, the sun's path around the Earth as we see it from here on Earth, because that's a geocentric view. We have a geocentric view of the planets, right? Because we're seeing things happen here. The ecliptic, the sun travels along this path and it crosses a point in the equator, and it's at the 1st degree of Aries. And so that's the beginning of the new astrological year. It's where there's equal day and equal night, hence the name equinox. And it's Aries season in the northern hemisphere. It's Libra season or fall in the southern hemisphere, so spring and fall. This is a big time, and it's really good. It's good new energy. I love fresh new starts. Just like we have a new year, then there's Chinese New Year, we have this new astrological year, and so it's a time for new beginnings. So Friday, March 20th, we have Mars in Capricorn sitting right next to Jupiter in Capricorn. So Jupiter in Capricorn, it's gonna last through the end of the year. It's not the best place for Jupiter to be. When I mean best place, it's not in Jupiter's most jovial domain, which would be Sagittarius or Pisces. But it's getting its limits there. It's learning how to be bigger and larger than life, but in a practical way, if that makes sense. It's making Jupiter be more practical. But when you add the energy of Mars, and Mars is about action, it can be a really good combination because Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It likes to be there. It's about being a workhorse and getting things done and being efficient. So it really could be, one expression could just be putting energy into something that is going to be long lasting or pay off good, or whether it's work or it's a new project. And then getting the blessings of Jupiter and having a little good luck sprinkled on it. Or on the flip side, it could be really explosive because Jupiter makes things bigger, and Mars is about, you know, action and aggression. It's the planet, the god of war, and fighting, and it rules iron and knives and all these things. So another thing you might want to do is just be a little bit careful. And as I go through the signs, I'll tell you where this is happening in your chart. Just not to just pay attention, be a little more safe. Don't just do things off the cuff. Don't just say things off the cuff. And just try to be a little more conservative. Okay, then on Saturday, March 21st, we have a big deal. I don't have a drum roll to give you. But Saturn, it's been perusing through Capricorn. It's going to make its way into Aquarius for the first time in about 30 years, almost 27 to 30 years. And this is a really, really big deal. This is the first taste of what the energy is going to be like when Saturn moves into Aquarius permanently at the end of the year for the next 2.5 years. So Saturn is all about structure. I talk about this every month. Structure, limits, time. It's about being responsible, taking care of your business. And Aquarius is ruled by Saturn in traditional astrology. Uranus is the modern ruler, but Saturn is the traditional ruler of Aquarius. So it's still in its own domain. It's been in Capricorn. Capricorn is about or Saturn in Capricorn is about setting limits, putting structure and boundaries into place. We've seen a lot of things blowing up, being brought to the light, with Pluto being there in the media and just all kinds of shenanigans happening. Aquarius is the breath of fresh air that actually sets up new processes that we learned when Saturn was in Capricorn. So I do foresee this as being almost like a fresh new start of a new normal. A new age. We are in the Aquarian age, but this is like, okay, now that we've learned so many lessons, what are we going to do with it? Where can we go? How can we innovate? Aquarius is about innovation. It's about humanitarianism. How do we make the world a better place? There's climate change. I have the chills right now because I really feel like it's all of our responsibility to be responsible about the earth for our children. I don't have children yet, but you know, if you have children, or if you want to have children, or you have nephews and nieces, whatever, it's our responsibility to make this world, to preserve it for them, because we can't leave something in a worse state and then just pass on the problem to other people. So I do feel like there will be, you know, advances in science, advances in innovation with Saturn in Aquarius. So this is a really, really big deal. This transit is only going to last until July. This first time around, it's going to go retrograde, and then it's going to go back into Capricorn and then move back into Aquarius at the end of the year. For those of you that are born between 1990 and 1992, you will be in your Saturn return. Welcome and good luck with that. I'm just joking. I actually have a video about the Saturn return. I will link it below or put it somewhere up here. And really, it's about a changing of the guard. And ending the month, Monday, March 30th, we have Mars entering Aquarius. This is not as good of a week as the previous week. It's a little bit contentious just because Mars and Saturn are meeting up in Aquarius at the beginning degrees, especially Monday and Tuesday where it's exact. That's more frustration, it's roadblocks, it's things not going forward, because Mars is all about action and Saturn is about wait, hold, slow your roll. And so those two energies, they're the two malefics in astrology. They don't really get along. They're totally different of nature. So it's a little bit frustrating. So we're ending that week on a little bit of a frustrating note, but then we're going to be in April and there's going to be all new astrology, which I will talk about next month. So now I'm going to get into how this energy will affect your sign. Okay, Taurus, we start out the month. We start out March 3rd with Venus. It's in Aries and it's making a somewhat difficult aspect, move this Venus to Aries, to Saturn and Capricorn here. It's what's called a square. And that is telling me there's tension. Venus is your sign, so Venus rules Taurus, so it's really important what Venus does. Wherever Venus is moving in the planet is important to you because it's your ruler. So Venus is right now in your 12th house. It's about your subconscious. It's in a place where it's not really totally comfortable. So you might be feeling a little bit unsettled, a little bit anxious and not knowing why, because it's in your 12th house of domain where things are hidden. Maybe some love issues have been, you know, or love hasn't been so great. And then you have this tension with Saturn and Capricorn, which is actually, you know, in aspect positively to Taurus. But it's almost like wanting to take action in some area of your life, but not being able to because you're feeling restricted. And this is manifesting in the area of like travel for you, higher education, learning spirituality. It could mean spiritual frustration, the 12th house and the 9th house. This like just feeling a little bit unsettled. I think this is a temporary transit. So just, you know, meditate, relax, take a walk in nature and let it pass. It will pass. Then on March 8th, we have the sun in Pisces, and that rules your 11th house. Pisces is your 11th house, and it's going to be sitting right next to Neptune. This is a very like dreamy aspect. This could manifest as you really just getting along or going out, hanging with friends, going to a networking event and really meeting some people and instantly connecting with them, feeling intuitively connected, Pisces, with other people, 11th house. Just be careful of being deceived. Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. And while it loves to be comfortable and happy and pleasurable, it can be deception too. It can be not seeing things clearly. So just be a little cautious of the people you do meet. You might meet someone you hit it off with, but then just, you know, give it a little time before you start, you know, making things permanent in regards to this person in your life. That same day, Venus is going to be in your sign. Woohoo! It loves being in home in Taurus. Right next to Uranus in your first house. So this could mean a new love partner coming to you. Venus, love coming to you out of the blue. Uranus, I know 7th house really is partnership Scorpio, so it's not happening there, but it could mean someone coming into your life because you are the first house. Or it could really mean just like wanting to make a change to your outer appearance, wanting to, you know, cut your hair or get a makeover or something like that. I would just advise you to do that the days after this aspect, maybe later in the week. Mercury goes direct the next day. So I'll just talk about that now. Mercury is going to go direct here in Aquarius on March 9th. And so that's a movement of energy forward. Mercury is making a difficult aspect to the planets in Taurus, because Aquarius is square 90 degrees from Taurus, but it's still nonetheless, it's not going to be long lasting because Mercury moves very fast, and it's going to be a moving of energy, which I think will be a breath of fresh air for you. We have a full moon in Virgo happening in your 5th house. And this is a really positive full moon. And the 5th house for you is all about children. It's about creativity. It's about gains, love, romance. And so there's a lot going on with your 11th house, positive or 9th house happening with Virgo and Capricorn, that there's trine aspects relationships. So this could be just like a jovial time for you to go on vacation. That could be one way this manifests, because 9th house is about foreign travel. It could mean like maybe you're in a new program learning something and you're feeling really inspired and you really are doing great and you get like a big pat on the back, or maybe you finish some sort of program or something. I'm a Taurus. I'm actually in an astrology college course right now, and I'll be finishing up around that time. So that's probably how it's going to manifest for me. Not that I'm putting that onto you. But so yeah, that could be one of the manifestations of that. And then, one thing you want to do is look back to what you were doing August 30th of last year, because that'll be some clues as to how this full moon might play out for you, what might come to completion. Then on March 11th, we have the sun. The sun is in Pisces. It's going to be making a positive aspect to Jupiter. So this is happening between your 11th and 9th houses, further emphasizing travel, positive. I mean, that could be one manifestation of it, is going somewhere. It could mean meeting a guru, meeting a mentor, the sun, some sort of like, you know, powerful person that you meet that's going to, you know, lead you to be a mentor or some sort of inspiration for you. And that's just a day transit, so that can manifest that way. Then on March 19th, we have the sun moving actually into Aries, the sign before yours, and that's moving into your 12th house. And the 12th house is this house before you. It's the house before your first house. And so that's all about your subconscious. It's far away places. It's, you know, things that are hidden. So this is more of a reclusive time for you to go inward and prepare and think about what you want to create for yourself when the sun does move into Taurus, which will happen next month. So it's almost about stepping back a little bit, being a little bit out of the spotlight, which I don't think would be a problem for you, and just preparing. Same energy happening with that new moon on the 24th of March. I'm skipping ahead over one thing, but I just want to talk about these at the same time. So again, this is like subconscious energy here. Pay attention to your dreams around this time. Write down, journal, meditate, do yoga, whatever you need to do to be in more of like a spiritual, enlightened state of mind. Backing up to March 21st, Saturn is going to move from Capricorn into Aquarius in your 10th house. 10th house of career, status, how you want to be seen in the world. And this is very important. I already talked about why this is a big deal, but this will mean some sort of structure, change, innovation within your career life, within your status. You already have Uranus in your first house of changing up everything about you, yourself. Again, this is a long transit. We have like another 6 years to go or so, a little bit more. So I foresee changes coming. And so this is happening. It's a preview that's going to happen through July. So just pay attention to the things that happen while this happens and up until July. And then at the end of the year, it's going to be a transit that's going to go on for another 2.5 years. So there's some changes coming to your home, your structure in your career, and the way you're projecting yourself into the world. So I think you should be excited about that. Then on March 27th, we have Venus in your sign making a really positive aspect to Jupiter in your 9th house. And this is just sweet, sweet energy. Venus loves you because it's your ruler, and Jupiter, the other benefic, wants to bless. And so this could really be manifesting as you just feeling good because Venus is in your sign. It could mean you have some sort of epiphany or some sort of spiritual awakening, something that inspires you. Jupiter is a very spiritual planet, and it's in the 9th house, which is about spirituality too. So I foresee this more being like an internal type of change with you, but positive nonetheless, something that you would be really happy about.